First of all, any questions on what we spoke about, please?
Yeah. What do you think about what recently what my chef said that we have a mafia or some sort of illness, say the brother that relates to that.
Just mentioned that one of the rabbis said that if a person has any kind of ailment or any kind of problem, to say the bracha in Shema Esrei and say that's right. Sure, that's what we spoke about before. That there's the physical and the spiritual, and if the physical is operating without the spiritual, then it's not alive. It's not alive. It's at best it's existing. It's not living. And the way that you inject life into food, into your body, into anything is through the spiritual, through the Torah, through the Tefillah. Any other questions? Sure.
Yeah. I know Rabbi Maimon speaks about having a kesher with tzaddikim. So I was just curious, how does a person, and what does it mean for a person to make a kesher with a tzaddik while they're alive? So, and what does it mean? Like that's on a, so you live on a physical plane, understand it, but what also does it mean to make a kesher with the Rav after while he's in Shemayim? You don't know how to, you don't know what's happening behind the scenes. Okay, it's a kesher with a tzaddik who's passed away. So, what does it mean for a person to do it, and how does a person do it?
Question regarding a connection, a kesher to a tzaddik. How is that done when the tzaddik is physically living?
Yeah, and also.
And how is it done when the tzaddik, after a tzaddik passes away? First of all, just in terms of magnifying how important that is, Rabbi Nachman says that what separates the Jews from lahavdil, the non-Jews have the Bible. They also have a Bible. We have a Torah shebechsav. We have a written Torah. The Goyim have the written Torah. Whether they choose to observe it or not, that's a different thing. But they agree, many of them, to the concept of an Old Testament. The Bible they accept. What they don't accept and don't have is Torah Shebal Peh. The oral Torah, that doesn't apply to the Goyim in any way. That they choose not to apply it, and it doesn't apply. That's what separates us from them. The Torah Shebal Peh is an example of the connection to the tzaddik. The Gemara says that when a person is learning a Mishnah, and in the Mishnah they say the words Rabbi Meir Omer, they're supposed to picture as if Rabbi Meir is standing right in front of me, and he's saying these words. It's not just I'm reading it from a book. When Hashem introduced the Aseres HaDibros, the Ten Commandments, he opened it with the word Anochi. I am Anochi Hashem Elokecha. I am Hashem. So the Gemara says that the word Anochi is the first letters of 4 words. Ano, Nafshi, Ksovis, Yehovis. I place my soul in my writing. Hashem said, Ano, Nafshi, Ksovis, Yehovis. I have placed my nefesh, my spirit, in my writing, in these words, these letters. When the Zohar HaKadosh says, Kudshe Barichu, v'Yisrael, v'Oraiso Chadu, Hashem, the Torah, and the Jewish people are one. Hashem and the Torah are one, literally. In other words, the 613 mitzvahs. The Torah is comprised of the 613 mitzvahs. The Tikkunei Zohar says that the word mitzvah is the word Hashem. Mitzvah, let's take a look. We have one of the codes that's used in the Gemara is atbash. Where you substitute the first letter of the Aleph Beis with the last letter, the second one from the beginning with the second one from the end. So that if you'll count along, Mem is the 10th letter from the end of the Aleph Beis. If you go Tov, Shin, Reish, Kuf, Mem is the 10th one from the end. So you substitute Mem and Yud are a match. Tzadik is the 5th letter from the end of the Aleph Beis. Tov, Shin, Reish, Kuf, Tzadik, right? Tzadik is the 5th letter from the end. Its partner is the Hey, the 5th one from the beginning. So the word mitzvah, Mem Tzadik, is Yud K. So that when a Jew is learning about a mitzvah, learning about the mitzvah of tefillin, or tzitzis, or sukkah, or mezuzah, They're learning about Hashem. Hashem is inside of these mitzvahs. When we learn about them, we're connecting to Hashem. When we learn the words of the Chachamim, the words of the rabbis of the Gemara, Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Meir, Abaye, Rava, the Gemara says a person is supposed to picture as if that Tana is speaking to them, as if they're standing in front. When a person learns it that way, then you're making a connection. The pasuk says, "V'hoyu einecha royo ises moirecha." That a person doesn't learn Torah with their ears; they learn with their eyes. You're supposed to be looking at the rabbi. When a person looks at the letters of the Torah, they're looking at Hashem Kaviyachol. The Zohar HaKadosh says that Hashem's name Yud Kei Vav Kei is when we say that a human being is created b'dmus Elokim. What does that mean? Hashem ein lo dmus. Hashem has no dmus. So how do you relate that? So the Zohar HaKadosh says, let's take Hashem's name, the most basic name of Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei. The Yud, the way it's written in the Sefer Torah, is basically one roundish blotch. That's a head. The Hey, the first Hey, is the 5 fingers on the hand. The Vav is the trunk of the body, and the last Hey is the 5 toes. Kaviyachol, as if Hashem wrote the Torah, Loshen HaKodesh, in such a way that this is the image of Hashem. The Arizal says that when they do Hagbah in the shul, and they open the Sefer Torah to show it to the people, a person should try to be able to be close enough to see the letters. Because at that time when Hagbah is being done, there's a light, there's a spiritual light that's coming from those letters, and if you make the effort to go close, and if you believe, here again, if you don't believe, you don't believe. If a person believes in the Torah, they believe in the word of Hashem, a person believes that by looking at these oisiyos, there's a light, there's an oil of Kedusha that's coming from them, then that person can benefit from it. Now when we speak about connection to a tzaddik, the Gemara, the Shulchan Aruch, there's Hilchos Kevoid Rabbi throughout the Gemara. The Gemara speaks about what the connection to a Rebbe is. It's learning his Torah, it's learning his teachings, and it's following his advice, his derech. Each rabbi is a moira derech. He teaches a person how to come close to Hashem. He teaches and interprets the words of Hashem to us. This is what the Torah Shebal Peh is all about. This is what the Gemara is about. This is what the Shulchan Aruch is about. This is what the Sforim HaKadoshim of all the generations subsequent to that are about. Moshe Rabbeinu, the Aseret Hadibros, before the Aseret Hadibros begins, the pasuk introducing the Aseret Hadibros, it says, "Vayedaber Elokim es kol hadvorim ho'ela lemor." So the Medrash says it should have said, "Vayedaber Elokim es hadvorim ho'ela." What's kol? This comes to teach us that everything that every rabbi in all future generations until Moshiach would be Mechadesh in Torah, the Sefer Igrois Moshe of Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, Zechet Tzadik Levrocha. That Sefer, Moshe Rabbeinu received on Har Sinai. That's what that kol is to teach us. That you shouldn't think, you should know that everything in the Torah Shebal Torah Shebal Peh was given to Moshe Rabbeinu on Har Sinai. Which means that here again, if I'm learning the Sefer Igrois Moshe, and I believe the Emunah Shlema that this rabbi, he had a Rebbe, he was Talmid Chacham. Every single authority in Torah is called a Talmid Chacham. He has a Rebbe, and his Rebbe had a Rebbe, and it's a chain, it's a holy chain that goes back all the way to Moshe Rabbeinu on Har Sinai. This is how I am attaching myself to Moshe Rabbeinu. My Rebbe, Zechron Avrocha, Rabbi Rosenfeld, Zechron Avrocha, said that if a person today, in the year 2008, each one of us is going to be asked a question, has to ask ourselves, and the question will be presented in the Beis Din Shel Ma'ala in terms of if we were living during the time of Moshe Rabbeinu, whose side would we be on? Would we have sided with Korach, with the 250 Rabbonim, Roshei Sanhedrin, who were all against Moshe Rabbeinu, or would we have been on the side of Moshe Rabbeinu? How does a person know, how can a person prove which side they would have been on?